It is time to talk about Resident Evil again, and I'm not talking about Resident Evil 9, I'm talking about the next remake because they aren't going to stop. This is starting to feel a little different now. I don't think it's another rumor cycle either. It feels like Capcom is quietly setting up the next era of the entire franchise, and if any of this information is true that we're going to go over, we're not just looking at another remake, we are looking at the long-term roadmap for Resident Evil, like a real roadmap. And you can't start a roadmap without the beginning. And the beginning is Resident Evil 1. Yep. Again, welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. And today, we are going to go over everything we know about Resident Evil 1, the remake, the re-remake. And I know, that sounds funny, but stick around because there's actually more to it than just that. Remember, guys, I read every single comment on every single video. Let's dive in. It sounds crazy, right? Technically, Resident Evil 1 has already been remade. Not just remade, that remake is still one of the most respected versions of any game ever. So I guess the question is why? Why would you go back again? Why would you do it now? But if you break it down, it actually makes sense. So the information going around right now is, of course, from Dusk Golem, and whether you follow him closely or not, he has been seen in this space long enough where he talks about Resident Evil that people pay attention. And what he is saying is this isn't just an idea floating around inside the buildings of Capcom. This isn't some type of early concept or storyboarding or let's do this maybe type project. He says Resident Evil 1 has entered full production. Now, that's important there. I mean, before we talk about anything else, because when you hear the words full production, we cover leaks and rumors all day on this channel, and when you hear those two words, that means the early stages are done. They're in the rearview mirror. Like, storyboarding's done, concept art's done. We are making the game. So if the direction has been decided, who's building this thing? I mean, what's happening? Well, if it's Capcom and they're serious about it, I mean, okay. It's not something we're probably going to see anytime soon. We're talking probably actually a couple years, but it's happening. Now, there are rumors it could be even 5 years out. I don't believe that at all, to be honest with you. And the timeline is one of the biggest reasons that this is probably true, because Capcom has been extremely consistent how they space their things out lately. They're not necessarily rushing projects, they're not trying to flood the market, they're taking their time, and they're trying to make each one of these releases stick the landing, which, so far, they're doing a really good job. But, again, why would you remake Resident Evil 1 again? Because on paper, it's not really necessary. But then you compare what Resident Evil used to be to what it is now, I mean, everything's changed. The way these games play today is completely different from 15, 20 years ago. Everything's different. The movement, the combat, the camera perspective, all of it, the pacing, the tension, even the level design philosophy. Every bit of it has evolved. I mean, if you go from the original style of Resident Evil 1 to something like RE4's remake or what we're seeing with newer entries, it's not the same game. It's really not the same experience at all. And I would like to know, raise your hand if you've ever played the original Resident Evil 1. I mean, you know, it was a struggle bus. It really was. It was legendary and it was iconic, but it was a struggle. So when you hear RE1 Remake in 2026 or 2027, don't be thinking as a remake in the traditional sense. I would more put it as a rebuild, because that's what it's looking like, or that's what it's shaping up to be. Not just updating the textures, not updating the lighting or dynamics, anything like that. Rebuilding the foundation of the entire franchise from the ground up, which is exactly what they've learned over the last decade. And if you look at it that way, I'm actually pretty excited. So if you have played part 1, you know about Spencer Mansion, right? I mean, a lot of people don't fully realize how this mansion could be in a modern engine. Back in the day, it was iconic because of the design limitations. I mean, you had tight corridors, it was claustrophobic, fixed camera angles, you had very limited visibility. Everything was built around creating tension with those restrictions. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine that same location, Spencer Mansion, but now. Modern lighting, modern audio design, dynamic camera systems, detailed environments, smarter enemy behavior. I mean, you could literally turn this place into something completely different. Not just a nostalgic trip, but genuinely terrifying. It was terrifying back then. Imagine what they could do now. Look at RE9. I mean, the kind of horror game that doesn't necessarily rely on jump scares, although that is where we really started to get those, was in RE1, but just kind of slowly builds the pressure cooker for you as you're playing. And if Capcom handles it the same way they did the Resident Evil 4 remake, I mean, yeah, they respected the original, but they weren't afraid to expand and evolve. And that is where this goes from, okay, That's not necessarily just another remake. They're going to try to redefine it from the get-go, right out of the gate. And that is where it starts to get bigger. It's not just about one game here. It's about that roadmap that we talked about for Resident Evil over the next decade. And again, none of this is confirmed, but it all makes sense. I mean, you've got potential remakes lined up before RE1. We know that. We've got Resident Evil 0. We've got Code Veronica. We've got a new mainline entry, Resident Evil 10, which is definitely down the road because we just got Resident Evil 9. But eventually, somewhere in that mix to keep things fresh, right? To keep your interest is RE1. I mean, I guess it's calculated. I guess that's Capcom basically alternating between new games and remakes and trying to keep the franchise active without burning it out, which is what we're seeing. They're doing the best at it. Fallout's going to be trying to do it too. Not Resident Evil. Gears of War is doing it to a degree. The whole mindset is it takes 3 to 5 years for a AAA game now. So you have to keep people's attention or they forget about your franchise. So what they're doing is hitting you with the nostalgia trips of these remakes in between their mainline entries, and it makes a lot of sense, and it is working, and that's what they've been doing, and it's been a hit. Every time they release something solid, the audience grows. New players come in, old fans come back, and the franchise keeps building momentum. Now, if they could only get their movie franchise on the same level as their gaming franchise. But here's what I think matters the most, and it's something people don't talk about when they hear leaks like this. None of it's locked in. That's apparently an internal meeting coming up in the next couple of years, which is weird too, if you think about that. Hey, guys, let me call you and text you. Let's set this up on our Slack or whatever. We're going to have a meeting, and we're going to have it in exactly 2 years to talk about the future of the Resident Evil franchise. That is the one part of this that sticks out to me like a sore thumb. That makes zero sense. An internal meeting coming in the next couple of years, I don't even know where to go with that one, right? I mean, I guess maybe they're going to see how everything goes and then talk about it, how the roadmap goes. If one game blows up, maybe they accelerate certain projects' timelines. If something doesn't do as good, maybe they try to shift their priorities. I guess that's how it works behind the scenes. So even though the RE1 remake sounds real and Dusk Golem says it's in full production, I would still be cautious. But cautious but excited. I mean, I like the fact that Capcom is really, really thinking ahead. I really wish Assassin's Creed would take a page from their book. Well, actually, they are trying to, I think, in their own way. But Capcom is doing it right. And when you get in a rhythm, you start to feel that consistency. You start to see hit after hit after hit. And if they do RE1 right and with modern tech, it's going to be crazy. If it does happen, it's done right. It's not going to be just another game. It's going to be a kind of a re-origin to everything happening. And you could rebuild just off of that. The more I think about it, the more it does make sense. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you even want another Resident Evil 1 remake? Or do you think it's one of those things that we should just leave alone and move forward? If they do it, how do you want to play it? I mean, third person, first person, both? What are we doing here? What do we need for this to still capture the legacy, but also modernize it? That's always the trick. You guys let me know what you think. I will keep you posted if anything new breaks, and I'll see you soon.